Arthur was feeling very worried. Sir Topham Hatt has wanted him to do some work at night. Then Stanley chuffed in. Stanley was feeling very sorry for Arthur. "What's the matter, Arthur? You seem worried," said Stanley. "Sir Topham Hatt wants me to work at night when I'm too scared to work at night," said Arthur. Stanley understood. "Yeah, working at night can be scary sometimes," said Stanley. "I just wish I didn't need to work at night," said Arthur. "I'll tell you what," replied Stanley. "How about this? You can work at night today, follow Sir Topham Hatt's rules, and if it doesn't go so well, then I will be here to help you." Then Stanley chuffed away. Arthur was still worried. "I just hope I don't get lost," he huffed nervously to himself. That night, Arthur was chuffing all around the countryside, feeling nervous. "I don't know where I am. I'm lost," he said nervously to himself. He chuffed nervously and nervously. Then he accidentally arrived at a scrapyard. "Where am I?" he huffed nervously to himself. He was brave enough to go in there. Then 2 diesels came. They were Ari and Bert.
"Look, Bert, it's that little stinky Steamy. Push him under the scrapping claw so we can scrap him,"
said Bert. Then Ari and Bert buffered up behind Arthur. Arthur was surprised. "Whoa, who's pushing me?" Ari and Bert pushed him under the claw. "Bye-bye, Arthur," said Ari.
"Any last words?"
replied Bert. Then the giant claw came and grabbed Arthur. "Ah, help!" cried Arthur. Then Thomas and Stanley came in to rescue. "Stop," said Stanley. "That engine is not for scrapping." "Let him go right now, you dirty diesels," said Thomas crossly. Then Ari and Bert let Arthur go. "Phew, thank you, Thomas and Stanley," said Arthur. "No problem," said Stanley. "We're always here for you." "Because that's what friends are for," said Thomas. Then Thomas and Stanley decided to be good friends and help Arthur with his delivery at nighttime. "Thank you, Thomas and Stanley," said Arthur. He was still feeling traumatized. "Happy to help," said Stanley. "And like I said," said Thomas, "that's what friends are for." Then, later that night, the 2 engines decided to comfort Arthur. "I still feel traumatized," said Arthur. "But again, thank you for your help." "And like I said," replied Stanley, "that's what friends are for." "Now, let's get some rest," said Thomas. Then, one by one, the 3 engines fell asleep. The next morning, Sir Topham Hatt arrived on board Timothy, and Arthur woke up. "Well, Thomas and Stanley, both of you are really useful for helping Arthur, and I'm proud of you guys for making Arthur a really useful engine. That's what makes you really useful." "Thank you, sir," said Stanley. "Yes, thank you," said Thomas. Even Arthur smiled his biggest smile. "Yeah, thanks to you two, now I'm not afraid to work in the dark anymore." Then at last, Arthur worked by himself in the dark without feeling scared. Then he talked to Stanley. "Well, Stanley, I'm not afraid to work in the dark anymore," said Arthur. "That's good," said Stanley. "At least now you're not getting lost anymore." And Arthur was happy to have a new friend. Later, Sir Topham Hatt spoke severely to Ari and Bert. "You two should be ashamed of yourself," said Sir Topham Hatt crossly. "I heard that both of you tried to scrap a perfectly good engine who is really useful. That makes you guys not useful at all. Very disappointed in both of you."
"Yes, sir. Sorry, sir," replied Bert. "We will never do this again. We learned our lessons,"
said Ari. "I sure hope that they both learned their lessons, don't you?"